What's going on, guys? So first of all, let me say thank you to everyone who has supported my channel. I'm up over 1,000 subscribers, and at the end of March I was at 120. So I really appreciate everyone who has taken the time out to support me and all my girls and one boy. But I want to talk briefly about something that's been really bothering me a lot lately when I go on Facebook and some of the other pages, and that's feeding for green anacondas. I have seen just absolutely horrendous feeding schedules that people are giving to their anacondas, and so many people supporting it, and it seems like none of them seem to realize the danger and damage that can be done. Power feeding is definitely frowned upon a lot more these days than it was in the past. I think a lot more people are starting to realize that boas especially have slow metabolisms. But when it comes to anacondas, this seems to be a gray area, maybe an exception. I think maybe it's because people get anacondas because they want them to be as big as they can, as fast as they can, and they're heavy-bodied snakes. So people seem to think that there is no potential danger in making them fat. And that couldn't be more far from the truth. So green anacondas have extremely slow digestive systems, much slower than your average boa or snake. And when I decided I was going to get a green anaconda, I wanted to reach out to people that I could get really good advice from. And some of the things that I read were, looking back, just horrendous. A lot of the care sheets suggest feeding green anacondas 7 to 10 days, maybe even less. And someone posted the other day that their green anaconda that was under a year old was on jumbo rats every week. And they were boasting about that as if it was a good thing. And that was probably one of the most blatant power feeding displays that I've ever seen. And so many people were like, oh yeah, good job, great. This guy's going to be huge. Now, listen, they're heavy-bodied snakes. They're going to be big. But they can get obese. They can die from organ failure. They can be power-fed. They can be overfed. So I've reached out to not only my vet, who started his career as a herpetologist, studying anacondas, boas in the wild. He's been breeding and keeping them for over 35 years. Anacondas and other boas. And in addition to that, I've reached out to a herpetologist who's a zoologist who has a 16-foot, 165-pound female. 165 pounds for 16 feet, and he considers her to be overweight. She's gorgeous, muscular, lean, thick, but lean. And after talking to them, they both suggested that I incorporate food cycling with all my boas, and especially the anaconda. So, for example, the gentleman who has the 165-pound female feeds her 20-pound rabbits during the summer months, and she fasts from November until March every year. And she's 16 feet and extremely healthy. Number one, jumbo rats are filled with fat, and they can take quite a bit of time to break down for the animal. Jumbo rats for an anaconda should never be fed less than a month. Ever. Probably more like 5 or 6 weeks. They have slow digestive systems. Okay, so this girl, for example, is she 10 feet long at 2 years old? Absolutely not. She's 6'9". She turned 2 in December. She weighs 8 pounds. I've never had a negative comment on her. I'm constantly getting compliments on her muscular, beautiful body. And I'm not saying this to brag, guys. I'm new to anacondas, but I've done my best to reach out to people who have studied them in the wild and seen what healthy adults look like and what type of feeding program they are on. So she was getting a medium rat every 3 weeks. Then she moved to large rats once a month. And I fasted her for 12 weeks this past winter. And the only reason I didn't do it for longer is because of her age. She grew over 2 feet last year. She's 6'9", and she's barely over 2 years old. That's with a 3-month fast. 3 months, no food. This is similar to the type of feeding they're going to go on in the wild based on the seasons. I've also reached out to 2 other herpetologists who specialize in boas and anacondas, and every single one of the specialists that I've had the privilege of speaking with and picking their brain have all said that probably about 90% of the boas, especially anacondas in captivity, are overfed and obese. People will point to animals that are over 200 plus pounds that are being power fed or overfed, and they think it's okay because this animal happened to live to 15 or 20 years old. And guys, that's the exception. That's not the rule. Okay? And again, I'm not an expert, but I've picked the brain of some of the most educated anaconda keepers, and it sickens me seeing people bragging about a anaconda under a year old eating jumbo rats every 7 days. That is horrendous. Everyone makes mistakes, guys, but please stop looking to these YouTube people. Yes, I'm on YouTube, but these YouTube people that power feed and give horrible enclosures. Reach out to the scientists, reach out to the specialists, the people that have seen them in the wild. Look at healthy animals in the wild. Yes, they're going to eat whenever they can, but the amount of food they eat in the wild is far less than they get in captivity, and they are extremely healthy. Guys, stop supporting people, please, who promote power feeding like that. Because one of 2 things are going to happen. Either the animal is going to somehow live a longer life, and that person is going to continue to think that that kind of behavior is okay. Or the animal's going to die. In which case the animal dies. So, guys, excessive fat builds up internally. It's called visceral fat. It builds up around the organs, and it works its way out. And by the time it's visible on the outside, there is severe damage done in most cases, and it can cause respiratory failure, organ failure, fatty tissue builds up around the heart. They have very, very slow digestive systems, guys. She went 3 months fasting and ate a large rat once a month in between. She's not starving. She's not underweight. She grew 2 feet. I am constantly complimented on her body. Constantly. And again, this is not to brag, guys. I'm not. Anyway, I've made so many mistakes. Everyone does. But please start doing some research on proper digestion and proper feedings, and stop supporting this grotesque overfeeding of green anacondas. Go. Guys, if you think I deserve it, hit the like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for your support. We're over 1,000 followers. I'm getting 50 to 60 a day right now, and I'm sorry for the glare. I'm sorry for the bad shots. It's just not very, she's hiding real well. But it was really the discussion that I wanted to do more than the video. So if you haven't already, subscribe, like, share. If you have any questions on feeding, I will gladly pass on the information that I've learned from the scientists and vets that I've talked to. When you get a vet, guys, not only should you make sure that they are a specialist with reptiles, but make sure they have experience with boas, because my last vet was a reptile vet, and he knew nothing about proper feedings for boas. He tried steering me in the worst directions, and I'm so lucky to have the vet that I have now. So Say goodnight to Ursula. Look at that beautiful face. Mwah. And thank you guys for the continued support. I appreciate it. I love all of you. Be safe, and feel free to ask any questions in the comment section about feeding, and I'll be glad to tell you. All right, bye.